The world's kind of in shambles right now. I mean, the economy is suspect at best. There's political division. We've got ICE agents in the street. So why would I be looking at buying a house? Actually, I'm not looking at buying a house. I'm buying a house. So while everybody else is looking on how to make more money, I'm trying to figure out how to protect the assets and the money that I have. Because right now the smartest play isn't chasing risk, it's managing it. So if you stick around to the end of this video, you'll see 10 pros, 5 cons, and the system that we put in place to mitigate the critical risk frame, why we're doing it to not screw up. Let's get started with the top 10 and how do you protect yourself in a market that feels like a minefield. Number 1, tangible asset and inflation hedge. In uncertain times, the dollar devalues, and so you lose your buying power. A home is something you can live in, rent out, and improve. Generally, a home moves with inflation. It's not like cash sitting in a bank. So today, if you buy a house for $350,000, it could be worth $450,000. We've seen that in the last couple years. Cash tends to be a worse value than bricks and land. You know, the second pro is the power to refinance later. You can't change the purchase price. It's overinflated. We know that. But you can change your loan if they go from 6-7% to 4%. There's a lot of people waiting on the sidelines for the rates to get better. And I think that could be problematic in some ways. At the end of the day, you can't refinance time. The third pro is stability over chaos. Yeah, a little over $2,000 a month mortgage does not sound great, especially when the price is overinflated. But rent's catching up. And what's rent going to be like in 3 or 4 or 5 years? There's no way of telling because things are kind of crazy right now. Owning locks in your costs. It's predictable and secure. So I see that as an absolute pro. When everything else feels unstable, the last thing you want is the place you live to feel the same way. The fourth pro is we're strategically purchasing below our means. We're well below our budget and we're going to rehab smartly, which means if life shifts, we can pivot. We can rent it, we could sell it, we could step away from it without bleeding cash. That's not just a house, that's mobility and freedom. The fifth pro is staying in safe budget ratios. The national guideline says that you should be total expenses for your housing at 30% and total debt should be no more than 40% of your annual income. And that's pretty much the safety lines. We're going a little bit further than that. Our housing costs will be under 20% of our gross income, and that's intentional. As in the last note, it gives us room to breathe, room to pivot, the power to say yes when opportunity knocks. Instead of house poor, we want to be house free, financially stable, flexible, and never boxed in by payments. Because in times like this, margins aren't just math, they're security. Better choices right now. That's number 6. Everyone's waiting for the rates to drop. And when they do, all the good houses are going to get scooped up quick. And the investors and the cash buyers, they're going to go in even faster. Right now, you are going to pay more, but you are also going to be able to go slower, negotiate, and carefully choose. Later on, you'll be bidding against someone who won't think twice about just buying it. The 7th pro is knowing exactly what you're overpaying. Yeah, prices are inflated. We're not ignoring that. We basically used the 2020 values as a baseline, and then we did a compound interest calculator at 5 to 5.5% for the annual appreciation to figure out what the home should be worth like today, because prices are not what they should be. And could the market take a short-term dip? Absolutely. That's part of the market cycle. But even when home prices crash, they rarely stay down for long. And that's largely because the banks tighten lending during downturns. So credit dries up, and guess who goes and buys all the stuff? The cash buyers and the investors. And then when the economy stabilizes, the banks start writing loans again, and same problem. The good houses or decent houses are already taken. So is it a gamble? Yeah. But if the price we're paying ends up being close to that of inflation adjusted over 5 years, then we're comfortable. And with this calculation, we're not guessing with what we pay. We know what we're paying and we know why we're paying it. The 8th pro, control and customization. No landlord, no restrictions, no stupid rules for no reason. Owning your home means you're able to adapt life around life, whether it's aging parents, whether it's kids moving back in or back out from college, or just visits. We want to create the space that we need exactly when we need it. The nice thing is we have the tools, skills, and will to build whatever we need, and that's kind of priceless. The ninth pro is pretty universal. Like it's not crazy, but there's tax advantages. There's mortgage interest, property taxes, some upgrades you can offset to reduce your taxable income. And the 10th pro we kind of talked about, kind of didn't. It's negotiating power. Today's market, like, it's expensive, but it's slow. And so you have the leverage. So you can ask the seller for credits, repairs, allowances, whatever it is. You could save thousands before you even move in. And in our case, we took advantage of that because the home we're buying is something that needs a renovation. So those are the 10 pros. Let's talk about the cons now. The number one con, high interest rates. Like, they suck. 6%. I mean, compared to the last 10 or 15 years, like, that's nuts. But it's not uncommon for history. Payments are higher and buying power is lower. We'd rather lock in at a higher interest rate and have the access to the type of property that we need than not have the access. If interest rates get better, we can refinance, but we can't refinance regret. So the second con is something real that a lot of people need to think about. Paper losses versus real world losses. Let's be real, we're buying in a financially unstable time. And yeah, we know we're paying more than the house is technically worth right now. In the first few years, we could even be underwater or upside down a decent amount on paper, and that looks ugly. But that's not a real loss unless you panic and sell. So we're building stability, not chasing quick profits. So the third con is it's going to cost more upkeep than what we're doing right now in our rental. And our rental's pretty cheap. We have no maintenance costs. And so we will take that on, as well as property tax, insurance, and all of that. But the trade-off is control. I already have most of the tools and some of the skills to put in the sweat equity to maintain the home. And so having already possessed that, or most of that, it's a good trade-off. The fourth con is liquidity risk. Yes, I don't even know what that word means, but ChatGPT told me to put it in there, so I did. No, honestly, what that means is you can't sell overnight. And that's why we built mobility into the plan. We bought well below our means. We comped out rentals, and this is key to ensure that we could break even or even cash flow within 2 to 3 years of purchasing the home. We want this property not to be a trap. We want it to be an asset that moves as life moves us. And the last con is debated quite a bit, and it has a special place in my heart for cons. Realistic investment perspective. A home that you live in is absolutely a liability. It is not an investment. You have debt, you have maintenance, you have a mortgage to a bank. Until it's paid off, it can't really be considered an investment. I think in the near future, people are going to understand this even better, as the interest rates are not going to go back down to 2 and 3% again. Right now, your home is about security and practicality, not speculative gains. So those are our 10 pros and our 5 cons. We're playing the long game. It's not a get-rich-quick thing. This is, as you can tell, primarily focused around stability. In a world of chaos and noise, this is our way of building something steady. Sometimes the smartest financial decision isn't the one that looks good on paper. It's the one that keeps your family safe and your assets tangible and your future in your own hands. Curious what you guys think. Which pros and cons hit you the hardest? Which ones do you think I'm just justifying what we're getting ready to do? Because money, dollars and cents wise, it's not the best move. But there are other factors that are way more important. Either way, drop a comment. Let me know where I'm wrong. Tell me where I should change something to make it better. And as always, I'm going to ask for a favor. If somebody hasn't already asked you this week, do me a favor. Make the day you deserve. You're buying a what? You're doing a who? You know, I really hope this is one of those videos I can look back on and I go, man, I was really freaking smart. And I hope it's not one of those videos I go back on and go, I put that out for the whole world to see my stupidity. In my life, as I've said before, I usually do pretty good going against the social grain.